decided you want to buy cryptocurrencies. However, jumping up straight and buying it will not do. You're going to have to follow a few steps so that you don't get hacked very easily. First things first, you're going to get a new notebook and a pen. Write down all of the passwords involved with crypto, whether it's your wallet or your exchanges, your private key, your seed phrase, everything is going to be noted down in this notebook, and this is never going to be shared with anyone. This is for your reference, just in case you forget about it. Remember, with crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. So if you miss noting down it or you forget them, then it's going to be gone forever and nobody has access to it. You don't even have a customer care who you can call to or a headquarters you can call to so that they can retrieve it for you. I repeat, nobody can retrieve it for you. So note it down and keep it safe. Keep it in a place that's safe from fire and flood. I know it's not entirely possible, but try your best to find a location that not many people have access to. Next, read and learn everything you can about what you're getting into. Remember, cryptocurrencies is an investment. It's an asset, and when I say investment, you have to do a lot of research and never trust anyone to do it for you. If you don't understand it good enough, then it's a very sure reason not to invest in it. There's a lot of risks involved and the market is very much volatile. You should only invest whatever you can afford to lose. I hate to say this, but it's the truth. Loss is an inevitable part of investing. Up next, you need to have some sort of device to get into cryptocurrencies, whether it is a mobile phone or a computer or laptop. You're going to make sure that it is entirely malware free. Whether it is a keylogger that pry on your private key is going to be a high risk for you. Get a trustworthy antivirus softwares and clean your Mac or a computer that you're using. You might not always use your laptop or a computer to access your account or your wallet. In this case, you're going to have to safeguard your mobile too. Don't install unnecessary apps. You never know what kind of data they are collecting. Always opt for a mobile that has the highest level of security involved whenever possible. Have a routine cleanup and scan for malicious softwares whenever possible. When you get rid of them, always do a hard reset of it. There are softwares like keyloggers which can record everything that you type on your keyboard. These are some things you must be cautious about. Never take anything for granted. Always trust and verify, as we say in Web3. Also, avoid using second-hand devices for your crypto. In fact, go even a step further and have a dedicated device which you can use for crypto. This is not always necessary, but it's a good precaution. Whenever there's a new upgrade in any of the software that you use, whether your system or your mobile, always update them. With every upgrade, there are a lot of bugs fixed and helps you be more secured. When you log into the internet, you leave a lot of breadcrumbs that trace back to you. Whether it's your location or any kind of cues that you leave behind, use a VPN to have a protected and safe browsing. Oftentimes, VPN can be very useful in concealing your location. Use any VPN you trust, but use one whenever you try to log in. And whenever you're finished, delete all of your history and your logs. Never ever connect to a public Wi-Fi. People oftentimes don't understand the seriousness of it. But when someone has access to the Wi-Fi you're connected to, they have access to everything that you have browsed. Use only your private network and never fall prey for the free Wi-Fi that you get in cafes or any public places. With crypto, always use a dedicated email and if possible, a dedicated phone number that you use specifically only for crypto-related transactions. Email providers like ProtonMail often prioritize security over anything else. It's free to use and you can create an account on ProtonMail and buy a dedicated SIM card only for your crypto. You can even go one step further by creating multiple wallets, multiple accounts on your exchanges. Even when having a dedicated phone number, there's always a risk of SIM swap. If you haven't heard of this attack, it is when the hacker calls up the network provider and asks them for a new SIM, saying that they have lost the previous one. So the provider actually cancels your current SIM which you are using and gives a new SIM to the hacker. So when there's any OTP that is involved, it goes directly to the hacker's phone. To avoid this, you can choose a provider who asks for your physical verification identity or your biometric whenever you try to change the SIM. Or you can check with your provider if they have the facility to have a passcode or a passphrase. Up next, coming back to the devices. Whenever possible, use a separate browser. For example, if you use Chrome for all of your normal browsing, download other browsers like Brave, which focuses more on privacy and security. Have this browser dedicated only for your crypto transactions. This helps you avoid browser-specific malware which could get downloaded whenever you click on random links. Speaking of which, never ever click on any random links, no matter which celebrity posted it or a verified account that you trust. Even with social media, there are a lot of accounts impersonating each other. So always type the link that you want to visit. So when you use MetaMask, it's metamask.io. The first time you visit it, just bookmark it so that whenever you try to visit the site next time, you don't have the risk of clicking any other links. This includes Google searches too. I've seen ads that rank top but are clearly phishing sites. These sites may look very much similar to the original one, but they're not. They're just there to steal your passwords. Next. When you create an account in any of the centralized exchanges, you have the ability to enable two-factor authentication. So what it means is whether you log into your account or initiate any of the transactions, that is going to be an additional step to verify your identity. So this two-factor authentication is nothing but an additional step you have to go through for every transaction that you make or every time you log in. This helps you verify that it is really you that is doing the transaction or logging in. There are many types in it. However, it is recommended to have at least one enabled. Every exchange has a different set of authenticators that they accept. For example, it may be an email authentication where you'll have to enter a one-time OTP which you receive on your email. Or it might be through an SMS. You're going to have to connect your number to this account and you'll enter an OTP that you receive at that moment of transaction. For example, we have Google Authenticator. You only need a Google account to access this. You're going to have to connect this Google Authenticator to any of the exchanges that you use. So whenever you try to log in, there's going to be a passcode that comes to your mobile phone. This code changes every 30 seconds. So unless you physically have the phone at that moment, you would never be able to guess it. But in case you forget your mobile phone or leave it somewhere, the first time you try to connect your authentication app, it shows a list of authentication codes. These are backup codes, which you can save it somewhere safe and use just in case you don't have the mobile phone and you have to do an urgent transaction like selling your crypto at the all-time high. But the two-factor authentications like SMS, email, or your authenticator app has a chance of being compromised. This is where having a physical device comes in handy. You have something called as YubiKey. It's a small physical device, very much handy. You can even keep it in your wallet. It's encrypted. To put it simple, the same code that your authenticator creates in your app is created by the small YubiKey every time you plug it in. And depending on the model you buy, you have to touch it or press a button. Most of the exchanges support YubiKey and any of the FIDO2 standard. It's highly recommended to have this one-step physical authentication. Coming up to wallets. Wallets in crypto are simple softwares or hardwares where you store your assets. Any kind of crypto assets like NFT or your cryptocurrencies and tokens can be stored in this wallet. They come in two forms, physical and as a browser extension or a website. When you try to create any kind of wallet, there are two keys involved, the private key and the public key. See, the private key is like a passcode to transfer your funds. So if someone gets access to this private key, they get access to your account. Oftentimes, you will copy your public address and send it to someone else so that they can transfer you the funds. You have to be very careful and always read it 3 times before you send it to someone. You read it whether it is your private key or public address. When you're multitasking, it's easy to miss, but I want you to read it 3 times before you send to anyone. Just as a reassurance, you're never supposed to tell anyone what your private key is. Nobody needs to know, no matter what the instance is. The only reason someone would want your private key is to steal from you. Multi-signature wallet. You can even set up a multi-signature wallet. With this, every time you want to do a transaction, there is going to be more than one people who have to sign it in order for the transaction to pass through. This could be any of your close friends or family whom you totally trust. Any transaction can go through only if all of the parties registered sign them. This can be quite tedious if you're a regular trader and make numerous transactions on the same day. However, if you're a long-time investor and you're just going to stake it up, then it's highly recommended to have a multi-signature wallet. Software wallets like a browser extension or any kind of apps are a software. Any piece of software has a high chance of being compromised. That's why there are hardware wallets. Hardware wallets are nothing but physical devices. These devices are available online and you can use them to store your cryptocurrencies. Having your assets in a software wallet or in any of the centralized exchanges is still quite risky. Any of it can be compromised, and we have seen a lot of centralized exchanges go down. In this case, your account gets frozen and you do not have access to any of the funds. To avoid this, you can always transfer your assets to a hardware wallet. This is often called as a cold storage. To be practical, only have a small amount of assets that you regularly trade or use it for transaction in your software wallet. Anything that you have saved up to use it on a long term and are no way taking it anytime soon, you can store it in your hardware wallet. In real world, you have your physical wallet where you have a few $100s that you use for everyday transactions. However, all of your lump sum is stored somewhere in a bank or a vault. The same applies to crypto. Only have the amount that you regularly spend on your software wallet. The rest goes to your hardware wallet. Do your own research and choose a good hardware wallet. Whenever you create a wallet, there's a private key and a public key involved. Since your private key is quite complicated and lengthy and it's not easy to remember, we have seed phrases which are an alternative and makes it user-friendly to remember. The seed phrases could be anywhere between 12 to 16 words, simpler ones that you're going to have to remember. In case you lose your private key or forget your password to the wallet, you can always use your seed phrase to recover that wallet. But if you use your seed phrase too, then there's no way. Some people even go above and beyond and have them engraved in a titanium plate, which is safe from fire and flood. It's up to you to choose. As time evolves, there's always going to be new software updates that come up to your wallet. Whenever you see one, you have to update them immediately. With every update, there are huge number of bugs and vulnerabilities fixed. Similarly, for hardware wallets, if there's a new technology coming up which is even more secure, then try and upgrade the wallet too. Whenever you try to deposit or withdraw or send money to someone, always double check the amount and the transaction fee involved. It's blocked. You don't have someone to call up and tell to reverse the transaction. Once a transaction goes through, it's done and it can never be reverted. So even if you make a small amount transaction, double check who you're sending to, whether it is their public address and whether it is entirely correct. Check every letter. If you're trying to transact a huge sum to a person, first send a very small amount and check if it's the right address and whether the transaction goes through to the right person, and then send the huge amount. This can avoid any minor errors that you might have missed while typing or copying it. With centralized exchanges, there's always a huge number of rules they have to follow, which are country specific. Make sure with every transaction you follow all of these anti-money laundering policies. Even a small mistake could get your account frozen. Remember, it's centralized exchanges. With deposit or whenever you try to make a P2P transaction, sometimes you deposit fiat to someone through any third-party apps and then receive crypto. In these cases, even though a centralized authority regulates it, you have to be very careful. Double check if you have really received the money. Don't trust the screenshots or the amount credited message that you receive on your phone. Log into your bank account details and check your account statement if you really have received it. Unless you double confirm with your account statement, do not initiate the transfer. As much as you like to believe that everyone is a good person, there are fraudsters in this world. No one has all the knowledge about everything. There are chances that you're stuck at something and you have a doubt and you have to reach out to your customer care or someone you know. No matter who you reach out to, whether it is a very reputed company or an employee who is a customer care, or anybody for that matter, you're never ever supposed to reveal your password or your private key or your seed phrase to them, even if it is a small one-time password. Keep your physical devices somewhere very safe. If you're enjoying this video so far, hit that like button. Avoid getting in touch with scammers, or if someone DMs you and you don't really know them, please don't reply them back. No matter who they say they are, they're not a real person, they're just bots or scammers. I've seen this happen in a lot of Telegram groups and Discord servers. They impersonate someone who's very popular or a mentor who magically made their money 100x or 10. Nobody cares about your money or your assets as much as you do, no matter how many proofs they show. With the recent development with AI and all the deep fakes, the videos and the images that you see are becoming way too realistic. This also includes when someone sends you a video message telling they are this random celebrity on YouTube or a trader who made so much money and really wants to help you. They are highly likely to be scammers. Once you send them any money or give access to your account, it's gone forever. Most of all, please don't brag to anyone on social media. Don't even tell them that you have any kind of assets saved up. That's a recipe for disaster, and hackers are going to target you to get your money. This also includes giving silent cues about where you live, or if there's an error that you're posting, or if there's even asking for some simple help, saying, here's my transaction ID, I don't know why my transaction didn't go through. Even if you share something as simple as that, that transaction is going to reveal your wallet address on Etherscan. Do not reveal any identities on the internet that is directly connected to you or your real name or your real address. Getting doxxed is not cool. Make privacy your top priority. Always keep an eye on the news related to cryptocurrency, which is country specific as well as state specific. There are new developments and laws coming up every now and then, and a lot of exchanges and protocols are shutting down. So at the first red flag, if you're using a centralized exchange, please do remove all your funds that you have in and store it in a hardware wallet. Please don't try to do anything that is beyond the limits of your law in the region that you live in. Next up, plan and file your taxes on time. Crypto being relatively new, even a lot of tax practitioners are not very well versed about the latest developments and the type of transactions that you do. Whenever possible, sit down and explain with them. With every account that you create, if it has a column for updating nominees, please do so, and always update at least once in a year. Update the details of the nominees who will actually inherit your assets. See, nominee is someone that you nominate to have access to your asset after you. We are humans and we do come with an expiry date. So please do update these nominees so that all of your hard-earned assets goes to someone that you really care about. Go even a step further. Create a will and have a detailed plan of who is gonna inherit what. This would avoid a lot of hassle, especially during the saddest time when the family is supposed to stick together. Last but the most important one. Remember at the first, I told you to write down every password and keys related to crypto on a notebook. I want you to take time and memorize it. No matter what you have, everything can be compromised, but not your knowledge. So go ahead and memorize every bit of it. Change your passwords at least once in 3 months. Memorize your seed phrase. For example, you could create a poem out of it, or some bizarre story connecting all of these words. When you remember the story so well, you would actually be able to remember those keywords as well. This is just one of the ways. If you can straight up remember it, that's totally fine. Find a way. Write a poem or create a story. You are gonna have to remember that seed phrase no matter, not your keys, not your crypto. I hope this helps. If you found this video helpful, please do subscribe and share this with someone who you really care about. What are some of the steps that you follow to safely buy and store cryptocurrencies? Did I miss anything? Just let me know in comments. And I do keep sending the newsletter every week. So if you don't want to miss out on all the important things that you need to know about crypto, you definitely have to check out my newsletter. It's totally free. You just have to subscribe, entering your email.